You've got varieties of locking techniques as well, and there are a number of different theories involved. One is using a congruent or an incongruent lock. The congruent lock really relies on the ligamentous system to lock up the joints that are not being treated. The incongruent lock relies on the articular surfaces to lock up. In order to do these different types of lock, unfortunately, you've got to know what type of instability you're dealing with. If we have a ligamentous instability, then we want to do an incongruent lock, so we don't stretch the joint capsule and ligaments. If we have an articular instability, then we want to do a congruent lock, because the joint surfaces won't hold. It's not easy to tell in the spine which type of instability you're dealing with, and the chances are, given an unstable segment, it's both types. The ligamentous nature of the disc has gone, and probably the articular stability in the zygapophyseal joints have gone as well. It's also difficult to tell which way the incongruent movement is, and current research is suggesting that our ideas of coupling movements at these joints is inaccurate. So I think you're probably better off, rather than worrying about whether it's an articular instability or a ligamentous instability, whether it's a congruent rotation or an incongruent rotation, avoid the problem. So that if we can't do a lock in a certain direction, we simply do it in the other direction and change our treatment technique. Now, given the two ways that you can push a pelvis, it means that you can rotate the pelvis either forwards to the right or forwards to the left, depending on which way you have the patient lying. So if we've got a right rotational instability, there's no reason why we shouldn't lay the patient on the left side and do the opposite technique by pulling the pelvis up or pushing it down, whichever is appropriate. If, for example, she didn't like me side flexing her in this direction, then I could probably do a rotation lock that would avoid that side flexion, or I may even be able to turn her over and fiddle with the technique so that I can play with it. You've got a lot of variety here to play with. You can certainly avoid the painful areas, you can certainly avoid the hypermobilities and instabilities if you've examined for them, and you lose the uncertainty of a lot of these theories that seem at the moment not to be panning out too well.